Part 30. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 291. Chapter 291 Unconscious. Han Yao's face was gloomy and her heart was pounding. Quickly put down the tray in his hand, took out something from the sachet, quickly stuffed it into the gap between the canopy bed and the wall, and then restored the gauze curtain to its original shape. Exit the dormitory quietly. Behind the screen, Princess Ding Yuan let Han Qiao help her get dressed before returning to the dormitory and sitting down. Mother, I made you a soothing soup. If you drink it and go to sleep, you won't have nightmares. Han Yao walked in with a smile on her face, carrying a tray, and the gloom on her face had long since disappeared. Princess Ding Yuan came back to her senses and forced a smile. You are still injured. Why are you still making soothing soup? Just leave such small things to the maid, don't burn you. Don't worry, concubine, you can't burn me. Although I'm not as capable as my elder brother, I can still make the soothing soup. Han Yao put the soup bowl in Princess Ding Yuan's hand with a smile, her expression not showing any abnormalities. Seeing her filial piety, Princess Ding Yuan felt less uncomfortable. It's late at night, concubine, please drink the soothing soup and have a good sleep. Tomorrow I'll ask the imperial doctor to take a safe pulse for you. Okay, you should go back and rest. You are still injured, so don't be careless. Han Yao responded with a smile, turned around and left the dormitory. Under the night, the smile on his face disappeared at all. The sky is just getting bright. Han Yao took the maid out of the house. On the way, I happened to bump into Han Song, who was doing morning exercises at the martial arts training ground. Han Song frowned when he saw that she was about to leave the house. Sister, you are still injured. You are leaving the house so early, but what is the important matter? Second brother, don't worry, I'm fine. My mother had a nightmare at night, and I'm afraid she won't have much appetite today. I'll go to Zhangji's steamed bun shop and buy some steamed buns and pickles for my mother. Zhangji Baizai shop was originally opened by a couple surnamed Zhang. They were famous in Kyoto for their steamed buns and pickles. The Queen Mother once tasted them and praised them highly. The man surnamed Zhang was summoned by the emperor to work as a royal cook in the palace, specializing in making steamed buns and pickles for the Queen Mother. His wife stayed and continued to run the shop. Princess Ding Yuan also likes to eat Zhangji's steamed buns and pickles. Especially when she has a bad appetite, she will ask the shopkeeper in the house to buy them back to her house. Thinking of the deliciousness of the steamed buns and pickles, Han Song hurriedly said, Sister, you can buy more. I just want to eat them too. You go and come back quickly. I'll go see my mother and concubine first. Han Song turned around and prepared to go to the main courtyard, but was stopped by Han Yao. Second brother, don't go yet. My mother-in-law can't sleep well at night, please let her sleep a little longer. I have already told the maids around my mother-in-law not to wake her up, and wait for her to wake up on her own, so as not to keep her awake. Good, and a headache. Han Song nodded. Second sister is still more careful, so I'll go practice martial arts first, and then I'll pay my respects to my mother-in-law when she wakes up. Han Yao watched him go away before taking the maid out of the house. But I didn't go to Zhangji Baizai shop. Instead, she asked the coachman to take her to a tea house. After entering, he went out through the back door and found a horse and carriage shop to hire a carriage. He went straight to Dongcheng and stopped at a tea house 2 streets away from Ling Mansion. He asked the maid to pay the fare and sent the driver away. Then he said coldly to the maid, go to Ling Mansion and invite Mrs. Dong over. The maid agreed, turned, and left. Soon he took Mr. Dong to the tea house. You are so anxious to see me, but what happened? Mrs. Dong entered the private room and couldn't wait to speak. Han Yao glanced at her lightly and said nothing. Instead, she sent the maid out to guard outside. Mr. Dong came closer and saw the wound on her neck, and her expression changed. Why are you hurt? You are the county boss. Who dares to hurt you? Han Yao sneered, you are not a good daughter. The disaster star? How dare she? Dong was shocked and angry. What's wrong with her? Yesterday at the Queen's banquet, concubine and the second prince and I were bitten by ghosts. That obviously had mystical skills, but she just stood by and watched. For her sake, the emperor also took away the title of concubine and demoted her to the title of concubine Xian. Had it not been for my great fortune, I would have died in the palace yesterday. Mr. Dong frowned. Why is the emperor so confused that he would defend a disaster star? That bitch's master is Master Xian Yi. The emperor has always wanted him to be a national master, so of course he will protect his disciples. There are so many Taoist temples in the world, why did you send that to Xianqing Temple for foster care? It was just a matter of sending her to Xianqing Temple. How could she be adopted by Master Xuanyi by such a coincidence? Ms. Dong was angry. Back then, when Master Xianyi was not famous now, how could she have known that things would be such a coincidence? I just thought that Xianqing Temple was far away from Kyoto, and the disaster star was still so small. Even if I was lucky enough to live and grow up, I would never have the chance to return to Kyoto. It was my mother's fault. She should have killed her quietly in the first place. It would be a disaster to keep her alive. Since you sent her away, why did you bring her back? Could it be that in your heart, you still love her as your own daughter? Seeing the anger on her face, Ms. Dong hurriedly said, how could my mother love her as her own daughter? When I brought her back, I originally planned to exchange her marriage with Qing but I had someone tamper with her on the way. Unexpectedly, the disaster star was very lucky. All the people I sent died, but she came back alive alone. Dong's heart was filled with regret. If she had known earlier that the Prince of Duke Zhao was in such a bad state, she would definitely not have sent someone to take the disaster star back to the capital. If he hadn't brought her back, nothing would have happened to their Ling mansion. Her Yao Yao will not be injured. Han Yao snorted in her heart, that is indeed very lucky. She learned that the Dong family was going to send someone to take her back to the capital. She originally sent someone to assassinate her on the way, but it happened that when the assassin did it, he met Ning Chui, the of death. Seeing that she looked unhappy, Ms. Dong felt sorry for her injury. Mom, go find that to settle the score. Han Yao looked dissatisfied. What can you do even if you go to find her? Beating and scolding her is not painful. I was lucky this time and escaped. What if she returns to Dingyuan Prince's mansion one day? If I don't say that everything I have now will be taken away by her, I'm afraid I won't even be able to save my life. No, even if my mother risks her life, I won't let that take away your things, let alone let her have the opportunity to hurt you. Han Yao's eyes flickered and she looked at Mr. Dong suspiciously. Mother, are you really willing to abandon her for me? Han Yao has never called her mother for so many years, but now she is finally willing to call her. Ms. Dong almost burst into tears. Of course Mom is willing. In Mom's heart, no one is more important than you. I knew my mother loved me the most. Mom, do you still have the talisman I gave you last time? Here I am. Mother, find an opportunity and put it next to that bitch, remember not to let her find out. Okay. Mr. Dong was so happy when he saw her nestling in his arms, he didn't ask her what she wanted to do. Seeing that she agreed, Han Yao patiently spoke to her for a few words before saying, I have to go back. Even though Ms. Dong was reluctant to let her go, she still let her leave. Han Yao returned home with her maid, and happened to meet Han Song, who was in a hurry at the gate. Second brother is leaving the house. The concubine is unconscious, so I went to the palace to ask for the imperial doctor. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 292. Han Yao's expression changed. is my mother and concubine unconscious? She was clearly fine last night, so why did she suddenly become unconscious? How does Han Song know? After Han Yao left, he went to the martial arts training ground. After practicing martial arts as usual, he went back to the yard to wash up. Then go to the main courtyard and prepare to pay your respects. However, the maid told him that the princess was not awake yet, so he had to wait patiently for almost an hour. Unexpectedly, Han Yao didn't come back for a long time, and his mother and concubine were still asleep. Han Song thought about what Han Yao said before going out and felt uneasy. He planned to ask the maid to wake up his mother and concubine, and then call the imperial doctor from the palace to come and get a safe pulse for her. Unexpectedly, the maid shouted for a long time, but Princess Ding Yuan didn't make any move. The maid felt something was wrong and shouted and shook her, but Princess Ding Yuan did not wake up. He could only report to Han Song in a hurry and ask the palace doctor to come over. But the imperial physician tried all available methods, but was unable to do anything. The imperial doctor in the palace has nothing to do. I will go into the palace to ask Sun Yuan Zheng. You go to the mother-in-law first and wait. Han Song frowned, hurriedly explained, got on his horse and left. Okay, second brother, go and come back quickly. After Han Yao watched him leave, she quickly entered the house with worry. Han Song handed a message to the palace to invite Sun Yuan Zheng. When the emperor learned that Princess Ding Yuan was unconscious, he immediately asked Sun Yuan Zheng to leave the palace. Arrived at Prince Ding Yuan's mansion, Sun Yuan Zheng took the pulse, prescribed a prescription, gave an injection, and gave medicine. I tried every possible method, but to my surprise, Princess Ding Yuan still didn't wake up. Sun Yuan Zheng could not find out the reason why Princess Ding Yuan was unconscious, and suspected that she was poisoned. However, no signs of poisoning were found after checking her pulse, so she had to check everything that Princess Ding Yuan ate, wore, and used. The strange thing is that there is still no abnormality found. I'm ashamed, I can't do anything about the princess's illness. As soon as Sun Yuan finished speaking, Han Yao couldn't help crying, Concubine, concubine, wake up quickly, don't leave Yao Yao behind, Wu. Han Song frowned, already worried, and now he was even more irritated when Han Yao cried. A cold and angry shout unexpectedly sounded in his mind, the princess is not dead yet, what kind of mourning are you howling for? That was at yesterday's palace banquet. His mother-in-law was poisoned. Han Yao could only cry like she is now, and then she was scolded by Miss Ling. Han Song sighed irritably. At this moment, he actually wanted to scold Han Yao like that girl Ling. His mother-in-law is just in a coma, not dead. How come his sister is always crying? Made people feel unlucky for no reason. Sun Yuan Zheng was also made to feel his head buzzing by Han Yao's crying, but he was an outsider and couldn't say much. He glanced at Han Song sympathetically and reminded him, "Second young master, I'm afraid we need to inform the prince about this matter as soon as possible." Han Song rubbed his temples with a headache. His mother and concubine were unconscious. His father and eldest brother were not in the house. He must take responsibility. Suffering from irritation, Han Song ordered the general manager to send someone to the barracks to inform his father and eldest brother. He also sent many young men to invite all the famous doctors in Kyoto back. Although Sun Yuan was helpless, Han Song did not give up. After persuading him to stay with kind words, he hurriedly took the post to the palace, intending to invite a few more imperial doctors back to the house for diagnosis and treatment. Not long after, Han Lin rushed back after receiving the news. But King Ding Yuan was not seen. Han Yao was originally worried, but after a moment of hesitation she couldn't help but said, "Brother, where is the father?" Han Lin walked in a hurry. "The emperor suddenly issued an order this morning, ordering my father to suppress the bandits. My father led his troops and set off before dawn." Han Yao felt relieved, but had a sad look on her face. What a coincidence, my mother and concubine are unconscious, but my father is going to suppress the bandits. Han Lin sighed secretly, but couldn't say anything. After all, this is the emperor's decree. Han Lin felt very uncomfortable when he entered the dormitory and saw Princess Ding Yuan lying unconscious on the bed. Learning that Sun Yuan was at his wit's end, he could only pin his hopes on the doctors in Kyoto. But what Han Lin didn't expect was that Han Song brought several imperial doctors back to his home, and the servant also invited all the famous doctors in Kyoto back. But no one could revive Princess Ding Yuan. For a time, the entire Ding Yuan palace was filled with gloom and gloom. Ling Chu didn't know that something had happened to Princess Ding Yuan. After finishing the meal in the morning, she saw Xiaji and the others counting the things given by the emperor and others, so she took the opportunity to take a look. Those exquisite head and face jewelry are quite exquisite, but Ling Chu has never liked carrying a bunch of hairpin rings on his head, so these can only be locked in the warehouse. At Xiaji, several maids felt that her dress was too plain and wanted her to wear those headscarves. Ling Chu was unmoved by just a few words of advice, so they could only give up. But I plan to cut up those silks and satins and make a few more sets of dresses for her. Several maids were chattering among themselves. Ling Chu smiled and followed them. Just as he was about to leave, the system suddenly rang. Ding! Level 1 energy stone detected, which can help the system repair. Ling Chu paused and glanced at the large and small brocade boxes on the table. Go forward and pick up one of the square brocade boxes. As soon as you open it, you can see a pair of hollow carved jade pendants inside. The jade is of good quality, but if you look closely, the carving is not very smooth. I don't know who rewarded it. Ling Chu didn't care. After all, the quality of the carving had no impact on the system, it only absorbed the energy inside. Ling Chu didn't take anything else, but only took away the pair of jade pendants. After returning to the dormitory, Ling Chugong put the jade pendant into the system. A dazzling light flashed by, and only a handful of ashes remained on the pair of jade pendants. Ding! System repair, will be closed soon. Ling Chu was surprised. This system had been following her in her previous life, but this was the first time she knew that it would be shut down for repairs. Without any time to think, Ling Chu quickly summoned the big shovel and small hammer. Ding! The system is being repaired and is temporarily suspended. With this last prompt, the system calmed down. Ling Chu tried it, but it really couldn't be opened. Although it's a bit uncomfortable, I can only wait until the system is repaired before turning it on. There is nothing going on in the house, so Ling Chu plans to go to the Yuan Tower. If you want to live well, you must continue to earn money and accumulate merit. Not long after she left, the concierge welcomed Mrs. Dong. Since Ling Chu was not here, Lu Xiangju could only greet her in a hurry. Madam, why are you here? The girl is not in the house. Mrs. Dong was unhappy in her heart, but she said with a smile on her face, Shuchu left the house again? I came to Zikan to do some errands and stopped by to see her. Since she's not here, I'll go in and wait. She has a gentle attitude and it is difficult for Lu Xiangju to stop her. He had no choice but to welcome her in, thinking that she would probably leave before Ling Chu could wait. Unexpectedly, after several rounds of tea, Ms. Dong did not leave. Instead, she said to Lu Xiangju, I didn't sleep well last night. You take me to Chuchu's yard to have a rest. I will eat with her when Chuchu comes back. Thanks to 0170318191430835. At this moment, laugh with you, Firefox, 641,417, Panax Noto Ginseng. DB, Yunyan Zongshen, China Fuse. 854-729, UN1, Why We Grow Old, Chen Rong, Scarred, Eden of the East, 2023-033-1230, CHLWCH, Life is Bright. Lan Yang, 0808292220201007, 2023030813112047 Prose. BA, Forget Me Not, Ixixi, Silent Blessing. 201702052340144565. 202301210127022243, Kaijadongli, GYJWM, Tibeman Future. 20201201201144042943, Dusty Memory, Colorful Life, Alice. A. 2018032215045487 1402121840214228. 2017071717281687, Xiaomei. 20230208431051, Nora and other book friends support. Thanks to Hungziu and the book friends who support Hungziu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 293. Chapter 293, Incense. Lu Xiongji knew that Mr. Dong didn't like his eldest daughter, so why would he let her rest in Ling Chu's yard? Madam, there is a guest room in the house. The bedding is all new. I just washed and dried it a few days ago. Why don't I take you there to rest? Dong's face darkened. I am Chu's mother-in-law, and I am not a guest. How can I stay in the guest house? Seeing Lu Xiongji's frown, Dong held back her anger and sighed helplessly. Forget it, I won't embarrass you. You take me to Chu's courtyard. I won't stay in her dormitory. Just arrange a room for me to rest next to it. Lu Xiongji secretly breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that her attitude was quite good and she didn't insist on living in Ling Chu's dormitory, and took her to Ling Chu's yard. Is that the dormitory where Chu lives? Yes. Lu Xiongji didn't plan to say more, pointing to the room next to her. Madam, please live in this room. The bedding and gauze are all new. Ms. Dong glanced at it and nodded. Okay, you go in first and open the door and windows to let in some ventilation. I'll go take a look at Chu's house. This girl lives alone, and I don't know if she has bought everything. Seeing Lu Xiongji want to speak, Dong said calmly, I know Chu doesn't like others to mess with her things. Don't worry, I'll just take a look and won't touch them. She had already said this, and Lu Xiongji couldn't say anything more. But even if she said so, if Ms. Dong insists on insisting, not even one of her slaves can stop her. Lu Xiongju entered the room next to her, opened the door, and quickly walked in and opened the window. Without staying long, he immediately left and turned around to enter Ling Chu's bedroom. Mr. Dong was standing inside and looking around. When he saw her coming in, he nodded and said, This dormitory in Chu is kept spotless. It seems that you maids have been serving you diligently. This way, I feel relieved. Okay, I'll go to the next room to rest. When Chu comes back, you can call me again. Lu Xiongji glanced at the furnishings in the room and secretly breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Mr. Dong didn't move anything. The Ling family has been in decline, and the Dong family has always been partial. Lu Xiongju is really worried that she will take Ling Chu's things back to Ling Hao and Ling Qing. Mr. Dong noticed Lu Xiongju's thoughts, but didn't say anything. She just snorted in her heart and left the dormitory. Ling Chu was busy at the Yuan Tower until noon when he came back. As soon as he entered the mansion, Lu Xiongju came out quickly. Girl, the eldest lady came here right after you left the house today. She hasn't left yet. She said she would wait for you to come back and have a meal with you. Have dinner with her? Ling Chu frowned slightly. Dong had always disliked her, So how could he come to have dinner with her? What kind of trouble was he trying to make? I didn't want to pay attention to it, but since Mrs. Dong had been waiting for so long, I'm afraid she wouldn't let it go until she saw her. Instead of letting her make trouble, it is better to send her away first so that she can rest early. Although Mrs. Dong said she was going to rest in Ling Chu's courtyard, she only lay there for less than half an hour. As soon as they met, Ling Chu took one look at him and said directly, "You are here, but you have something to do." Ms. Dong put down the teacup. Although she didn't want to get angry, it was obvious that her attitude was so cold. When she thought about Han Yao's wounds, she couldn't suppress her anger. "Why, when you see your mother, you don't even say hello?" Ling Chu sat down directly, took the teacup brought by Lu Xiangju, and drank half of it before putting it down. He looked at Mr. Dong expressionlessly and said softly, "If you have something to say, please come back." Mrs. Dong subconsciously wanted to get angry, but thinking of the purpose of her trip, she had to suppress her anger. "I came to Zikan for business, so I stopped by to see how you are getting used to living alone." Ling Chu was unmoved and didn't believe her words at all. "There are no outsiders here, so there is no need to pretend. Since we hate each other, there is no need to do these superficial things." Ms. Dong was so angry at her words that she almost had a cerebral infarction, but she couldn't have it yet. "Your grandmother asked me to come over and tell you something. It's getting late now, so you can let the maid prepare the meal first. I'll tell you something after the meal. I grew up in a Taoist temple, and my taste is light. I'm afraid the food here may not be to your taste, so I won't let you eat. If nothing happens, I'll go back and rest first." Ling Chu didn't know what she had planned, but he could see something unusual about her. "I don't want to follow her words at all." Ling Chu stood up and prepared to leave. Mrs. Dong stopped pretending and said with a stern face, "Your grandmother showed you a house. You come back tomorrow and accompany your grandmother to Linggu Temple to offer incense. The Chen family will also take young Master Chen there. You guys take the opportunity see you last time." Ling Chu frowned and asked her to look at him. "I have said before that my body is not suitable for marriage, so there is no need to waste time on me. If there is a suitable family, you can introduce it to the second sister and the third sister. Young and old are in order. If you are not married, how can Qing'er and Hui'er get married? You are not satisfied with the Zhao family's marriage and have already withdrawn. Your grandmother spent a lot of effort to help you choose the Chen family. Your grandmother wants you to meet each other first, and then discuss marriage if it's appropriate. If you don't want to, your grandmother won't force you to get married. I've given you the words, it's up to you what to do." Mr. Dong finished speaking with a cold face and left angrily. Getting on the carriage, his face had regained its composure. When the driver left Kintai Street, Mrs. Dong immediately asked him to divert and stop 2 streets away from Dingyuan Prince's mansion. Dong found a child and spent 10 coins to ask him to deliver a letter to the Dingyuan Palace. Ling Chu didn't take Dong's words to heart. She has no intention of getting married in this life, let alone meeting Mr. Chen. Let the maid prepare the meal. After eating, wash up and go to bed. On this night, Ling Chu's sleep was not stable, and he had messy dreams one after another. At Dingyuan Palace, Han Yao received the letter that the concierge asked the maid to bring in. She only glanced at it and put it away, locking it in the dowry. The next day, Han Yao found Han Song. "Second brother, the imperial doctor can't do anything about my concubine's illness. I want to go to the temple to offer incense and pray for my concubine, and ask Bodhisattva to bless my concubine to wake up soon." "Are you going to offer incense and pray for your mother-in-law? That's fine. Just remember to bring more guards and leave early and come back early." Han Song stayed in the courtyard of Princess Dingyuan all night, looking a little haggard. The imperial doctor and the doctors in Kyoto were helpless. Han Lin found out that there was a miracle doctor with extremely high medical skills, so he hurriedly set out to invite someone yesterday. Han Song didn't know if the miraculous doctor was sure of rescuing his mother and concubine. Han Yao was willing to go burn incense and pray, lest she give him a headache by crying all the time. Second brother, don't worry, I will take my guard with me. Han Yao said that she went to the temple to offer incense and pray for blessings. However, after leaving the mansion, he went straight to Kongsu Temple. The county lord is here. Taoist master, this is 10,000 taels. I will give you a big thank you after the work is done. Thanks to the book friend Chan 35201 for the reward. Thanks to Kai Yuning, Fei Wenli, Zhang Dengjia Caiz 120902134521123, 202209140102452081, 16111092108082, 201701011630324331, Kai Yuning, 202002132049200706, Hangzhou above, Red Apple 213, Litzit, 202305301154159407129776. Mumu Tata and other book friends monthly tickets support this. Thanks to Huiwai.ea, Yunyun Zongshen, King Shichuang Chuang, Come on Elegance, White Clouds in the Sky L, Eden of the East, Forget Me Not, Moonfall Yao Yao, This Moment, Laugh With You, Sankai. DB, Yan Ling UN 1, 2023073011370262, Dusty Memory, CHLWCH, 0808292220201007, IMUU86, 2023-033-1230. Happy Baby, 202210011234434449, China Fuse, Wind and Lightning, XXC, ZJCRY. 201811281000506706, Writing for the Future, Black Boy, Why We Grow Old, Silent Blessings, 201702052340144565, Daoyo. EB, Xiaoyuer 408, Colorful Life. Supported by the recommendation votes of book friends such as, 641,417, and Fish in the Sea. Thanks to Hungzhou and Xiaoxiang for supporting book friends. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 294. Chapter 294 Backlash. Taoist priest Qingyang didn't even look at the banknote. County master, this kind of thing is extremely risky. It was just a fluke that it succeeded last time. This kind of thing cannot be done twice. I hope county master will think twice. Han Yao snorted in her heart, took out another banknote and pushed it in front of Taoist priest Qingyang. This is the incense money given by the county lord to all the heavenly lords. I would like to trouble the Taoist priest to support it on his behalf. Taoist master Qingyang looked at the banknotes with a slight smile on his face. The county master is kind-hearted, and all the heavenly gods will definitely protect the county master's wishes. After a pause, Taoist master Qingyang put away his smile again, with a serious look on his face. If there is no luck and merit, the lifespan will definitely be destroyed. County lord, have you thought clearly? Han Yao took off the bracelet from her wrist and put it on top of the banknote. This county has made up its mind. Taoist master Qingyang signaled the little Taoist boy next to him to put away the banknotes and bracelets, and then said with a serious face, since the county lord has already thought about it, I will cast a spell for the county lord again. Taoist priest Qingyang looked like an immortal and said to the Taoist boy next to him and Han Yao's maid, you guys should step aside first while the Taoist casts spells. Don't disturb them. County lord, please cleanse your hands and burn incense. Having already experienced it once, Han Yao first walked to the wooden shelf on the side and purified her hands in the copper basin. Then pick up 3 sticks of sandalwood, light them, about 3 times, and then insert them into the incense burner. He turned around and walked to the futon and sat down cross-legged. Taoist Master Qingyang also cleans his hands and burns incense, and then starts the practice. Girl, you don't look well. Did you not sleep well last night? Ling Chu rubbed her temples. She really didn't sleep well. Have been dreaming almost all night. She had experiences from her previous life, as well as things from this life, and her dreams were numerous and confusing, making her exhausted. Seems a little uneasy. She has no feelings for the people in Ling Mansion, and it shouldn't be because of them. As for her master, with a few senior brothers by his side, he should be fine. Ling Chu rummaged through her thoughts, but couldn't find the reason for her uneasiness, so she could only lift her hands. Girl, since you haven't slept well, don't go out today, stay in the house and rest. It doesn't matter, I can come back and rest in the afternoon. In recent days, people have been coming to the funeral home one after another to ask her for fortune telling. If she is not here, shopkeeper Lu will not be able to deal with it. Lu Xiangju couldn't persuade her, so she sighed and planned to ask the cook to make more tonics for her to replenish herself. Ling Chu had just changed his clothes and was about to leave the house, when Xiaji hurriedly came in from outside. Girl, I heard from the official Kmei Cheng that Princess Ding Yuan is critically ill and all the imperial doctors are helpless. How could Princess Ding Yuan suddenly become critically ill? Although she was poisoned by pufferfish poison at the palace banquet, she had already taken her antidote. Looking at her face that day, there was nothing unusual about her face. How could she suddenly become critically ill? Is this news credible? Girl, according to Manager Cheng, the Dingyuan Palace not only invited the palace doctors, but also invited famous doctors from Kyoto back to the palace, but no one could cure Princess Dingyuan. And this matter has spread all over Kyoto. Ling Chu suddenly felt a dull pain in his heart. Let the guards prepare the car, and I'll go see Princess Dingyuan. She hasn't found out whether Princess Dingyuan is her biological mother. She has to go and find out what happened. Ling Chu walked out quickly, but before he could get out of the dormitory, he suddenly felt a stabbing pain in his head, and then his eyes went dark. Girl. Lu Xiangju, who was following behind, saw her suddenly stop and sway, and was about to faint, so she was so frightened that she rushed forward to help her. Xiaji, who had just stepped out of the dormitory, heard something was wrong and hurriedly ran back to help Ling Chu. Girl, you are not feeling well. I will ask the guard to call a doctor for you. Ling Chu bit the tip of his tongue, endured dizziness, and said quickly to the 2 maids, no need to call the doctor, you go out and guard the door. Don't let anyone come in and disturb me. Seeing the 2 maids looking at her uneasily, Ling Chu didn't have time to explain, so he pushed them with both hands and said, go quickly. Feeling the rapid loss of merit and luck in his body, Ling Chu quickly sat down cross-legged, chanting runes, and kept making seals with his hands. Lu Xiangju saw her sitting cross-legged on the ground like this, and subconsciously wanted to step forward and help her up. However, Xiaji grabbed her and said, the girl is casting a spell, don't disturb her. Lu Xiangju quickly retracted her hand after being reminded by Xiaji. It can be seen that Ling Chu's face is getting paler and there are still beads of sweat on his forehead, but he can't help but feel worried in his heart. Xiaji is also anxious, but they don't understand anything. They may not be able to help her if they stay, and they may even disturb her. It would be better to retreat outside and stay on guard, and don't let anyone disturb you. That would be the greatest help. Ling Chu's original amulet for herself has been broken, and she knows that the first thing she should do is to draw another amulet for herself. But she didn't do that. Last time, someone behind the scenes robbed her of her merit and luck. She was unprepared and let the other person take advantage of her. But this time, she wants to make sure the other party has no chance of coming back. After the two maids exited the dormitory, Ling Chu endured waves of dizziness getting stronger and stronger, quickly bit his index finger, and drew two talismans with his own blood in the air. The first is the luck-cutting talisman, and the second is the counter-attack talisman. When the last stroke was finished, Ling Chu began to use mystical skills to cut off her own merits and luck. But at the last moment, she tried her best to lose 1/3 of her merit and attached the backlash talisman to it. Feeling the continuous light coming from her body, the smile on Han Yao's face became wider and wider. That won the jade bracelet given to her by the imperial concubine, not counting it, and dared to sell her to a brothel. As a result, Xiao Shanbo took advantage of her and her reputation was ruined. Again, she stood idly by at the palace banquet and allowed Chef Su to bite her. The most hateful thing is that they forced the second prince to marry that Lolio as the prince's concubine. She has admired the second prince for many years and was determined to win the position of the second prince's concubine. Now he has to be crushed by a dead man. How could she endure this? This time, not only did she want to take away all that bitch's merits and luck, but she also wanted to take away her life. She would never allow Princess Dingyuan to have the opportunity to recognize that bitch. The eldest daughter of Prince Dingyuan's palace could only always be Han Yao. No one can try to take it away. Han Yao became more and more happy the more she thought about it. Unexpectedly, a scream suddenly sounded in my ears, "No." The smile on Han Yao's face faltered and she quickly opened her eyes. Before he could open his mouth, Taoist priest Qing Yang, who was sitting cross-legged on the futon opposite, sprayed blood on his face. Watching the person opposite him fall down, he twitched twice and then stopped moving. Taoist master Qing Yang died with his eyes wide open and refused to rest in peace. Han Yao couldn't help but blurt out a scream. Soon, I felt a sharp pain in my head, and a fishy sweet feeling surged in my throat. Haunted by panic, a mouthful of blood spurted out, and Han Yao fell to the ground softly. "Help!" shouted for help at the top of his lungs. Soon, the door was pushed open. Han Yao turned around in surprise, but the person who came in was not the maid who was guarding outside. Thanks to Sunyan Moixi, Jushan Yungxiao, WBPWJM, Tian Xiao, the human heart is 2 Crodeti, 1503150956401777, Crazy Heart 80. 20230316170001959, 160501120003035, People's Heart is 2 Crodeti, 1503150956401777 and other book friends support it with monthly tickets. Thank you. 20230530115415940712976, Chen, Evening Wind Betty Sleep, 20230530115415940712977, A. Purple and Leaves 20230530115415940712976, Mumu Tata, ZJCRY, 201811281005067006, 201811281005067006, 201811281005067006, 201811281005067006. Thanks to Pen Yongfang, 1608311408404893696, 202210011234434449, Walasali, Yunyun Zongshen, by Taxi Sleepless. Feng Kishan, This Moment, Laugh With You, 202306261108181880, Nan Xiangxi, Care, Prose. BA, Night Breeze Eden of the East, UN 1. 20211022120741050, Kingsha Makeup, VE Phi, Silent Blessing, 854-729, Daoyo. EB, 20201201201144042943. Supported by the recommendation votes of book friends such as 080829222020200107, Panax Noto Ginseng, DB, etc. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 295. Chapter 295 Threat. The person who came was wearing a grey Taoist robe, with a half-white long beard on top of his head. He looked much older than Taoist priest Qing Yang. Han Yao couldn't stop thinking about her maid who was obviously waiting outside. She heard her calling for help, but why didn't she come in? I don't know if it was because Taoist priest Qing Yang died suddenly. Han Yao suddenly felt uneasy when she saw the person coming. He endured the panic and said, "The Taoist priest is." The man smiled and said, "A poor man knows the truth." Han Yao was surprised and happy that he turned out to be the master of Taoist master Qing Yang. Feeling the pain on his body getting more and more, Han Yao said weakly to the other party, "Taoist master, please help me." Taoist priest Ming Zhen glanced at her and said nothing. Instead, he locked the door behind him and walked over slowly. Stopping next to Han Yao, his fiery eyes scanned down her face inch by inch. After scanning, "Turn your head." Looking casually at Taoist priest Qin Jiang's body, he looked away. Han Yao's heart suddenly rose, and she was worried that he would ask questions. Unexpectedly, the other party just said slowly, "Is the county lord injured?" Han Yao originally thought that the other party would help her up, and that no matter what happened, she would find someone to rescue her. But Taoist priest Ming Zhen just stood beside her and looked at her condescendingly. That's all, but what made Han Yao feel uncomfortable was that the other party's eyes were fixed on the high places on her body for a moment, and then slowly looked down. Made her feel like she was naked and lying in front of him. But how is this possible? This is the famous Taoist master Ming Zhen. Many people in Kyoto respect him very much. She must have been injured and frightened by the death of Taoist master Qing Yang, so she was thinking wildly. Thoughts flashed through her mind, and Han Yao gritted her teeth and propped up her upper body, trying to stand up from the ground. What she didn't see was a flash of light in Taoist priest Ming Zhen's eyes. Finally, he bent down and stretched out his arms to help her. "The injury is serious, county master, so be careful." After all, he was a well-known Taoist priest in Kyoto. Seeing him helping her, Han Yao subconsciously wanted to say thank you. Unexpectedly, the other party had one hand around her waist, and the other hand was rubbing from her back down to her buttocks. Even pinched it quickly. Han Yao's eyes widened suddenly, confused by his actions. When I came back to my senses, I was just about to get angry. Ming Zhen made a strong effort, held her buttocks up with his palms, and she could only follow his strength to stand up. Just before she could stand still, the arm holding her waist retracted, and at the same time, the palm of her buttocks pushed and pressed quickly. Han Yao jumped forward. He threw himself into the arms of Taoist master Ming Zhen. However, the opponent hasn't stopped yet. He blew lightly against her earlobe and said softly, "Where is the county master injured? Is it here?" As soon as she finished speaking, Taoist master Ming Zhen placed his hand on her heart. Han Yao was frightened and angry, raising her hand and swiping at the opponent's face. However, Taoist master Ming Zhen grabbed his wrist. "The county master is still injured, so be careful." Missing the target, Han Yao subconsciously wanted to struggle, but Taoist master Ming Zhen's wrists were like iron pincers, and she couldn't break away at all. Even the more she struggled, the friction on her body made the other person's eyes burn even more. Unable to break away, Han Yao could only yell at the other party, You are shameless. I am the county owner of Dingyuan Prince's Palace, please let me go quickly." She was angry, but the other party was not moved at all. Taoist priest Ming Zhen still held her wrist tightly with one hand and pressed her buttocks with the other hand. After enduring the heat and swallowing his saliva, Taoist master Ming Zhen said coldly, "Let go." "The county master killed Pandao's disciple, how can Pandao let you go?" "Nonsense, it was not me who killed Taoist priest Qing Yang." Taoist priest Ming Zhen sneered, "No? Could it be that the county master thought that Pandao didn't know that you bribed Qing Yang with money and asked him to help you rob Miss Ling's merit and luck, but it was backfired?" Han Yao was shocked and angry. She originally thought that this matter was hidden, but she didn't expect that Taoist Qing Yang would actually tell his master about it. "It wasn't me who killed him. It was clearly because of his lack of ability that he suffered the backlash. He killed himself, how can he blame the county owner?" "Miss Han, how can you lie just because you are the county head? It is obvious that you used your status as the county head to intimidate and induce. Qing Yang had no choice but to help you steal Miss Ling's merit and luck." "Nonsense, I have never threatened Taoist priest Qing Yang. He volunteered to help me. But Qing Yang is dead. If this matter is told out, does the county master think the world will believe your words, or will they believe Pandao?" Han Yao was speechless. This Taoist priest Ming Zhen had a pretty good reputation among the nobles in Kyoto. If this matter really spreads, the world will definitely turn to him. What's even more confusing to her is that the 2 banknotes and bracelets she just gave out are still in the hands of the Taoist boy next to Taoist master Qing Yang. Seeing that Han Yao had nothing to say, Taoist master Ming Zhen softened his tone. "The county master wants that girl Ling's merit and luck, and Pandao can also help you." Even though Han Yao was angry, she couldn't help but feel moved by these words. "Taoist master is really willing to help me. Whether we can help or not depends on whether the county owner's performance is good enough." Taoist priest Ming Zhen said, moving his hands at the same time. The hint was very obvious. Han Yao was teased by his movements, her heart trembled, and she almost couldn't help but moan. Biting his lip with his teeth, he resisted the burning sensation and said, "No need, the county master is injured. He needs to go back and ask the imperial doctor for treatment." Ming Zhen's eyes circled around her red lips, and he endured the dryness of his mouth and said, "Don't worry, Pandao can not only help you get Miss Ling's merit and luck, but also help you heal your injuries." Although Han Yao was moved by his words, she was not stupid and knew that there was no free lunch in the world. What's more, the purpose of the Ming Zhen Taoist priest is so obvious. Although she wants that Ling choose merit, luck, and even her life. But if she loses her virginity to this Taoist priest with a human face and an animal heart, how can she marry the second prince? With the diagnosis and treatment of the imperial physician, the county master's injury will not bother the Taoist priest. "I'm afraid the county master doesn't know that your injury cannot be cured by a medical doctor." Seeing Han Yao's suspicious expression, Taoist master Ming Zhen said unhurriedly, "Your injury is not an ordinary injury. It was because you robbed others of their merits that you suffered a backlash. It can only be cured by using our Taoist mysticism." Han Yao didn't completely believe this. In this world, Taoist master Ming Zhen is not the only one who knows mystical arts. Even if it is too difficult to cure, she can still find other Taoist priests to treat her. There is no need to compromise her innocence. Seeing that Han Yao still insisted on leaving, Taoist master Ming Zhen lost his patience. His body was burning, and he could hardly bear it any longer. He said with a gloomy face, "Do you think that if King Dingyuan and his wife knew that you not only robbed their daughter of her merits and luck, but also her identity, they would let you go?" Thanks for the monthly support of my nonsensical book friends. Thanks to book friends such as 202103011064724333066, Lanian Jiang, 201803221504548777, Dream Sunko, Kin, 20230208431051, Ixixi, 641,417, Kinsey, 20230208431051, Colorful Life, China Fuse, Why We Grow Old and other book friends for their recommendation votes. Thanks to Hungzio and Xiaoxiang for supporting book friends. Asking for votes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 296. Chapter 296 Humiliation. Han Yao's pupils trembled and she said with a pale face, I don't know what you are talking about. Don't know? Hasn't the county master heard of a saying that there is no airtight wall in this world? Han Yao didn't know about such a hidden thing. How could Taoist master Ming Zhen know about it? But no matter how he knew it, she couldn't admit it. I am the biological daughter of my father, the king, and my mother's concubine. You can't even think of slandering the county lord. As far as Pandeo knows, you don't look like King Dingyuan and his wife, but you follow Mrs. Dong. And if Miss Ling stands with King Dingyuan and his wife, everyone who has seen her will probably doubt her. Han Yao did not expect that the Taoist master Ming Zhen, who looked like a dog, would threaten her with her life experience. She was frightened and angry, but she was caught and there was nothing she could do. After returning from the palace, Han Yao specifically inquired about what happened that day. She heard that Princess Jing and Madame Nananho had joked that they looked like mother and daughter to Princess Dingyuan. Princess Dingyuan was probably also suspicious, otherwise she would not have mentioned the birthmark, and would even have brought back her dowry. She must not let her identity be exposed. What does the Taoist master want? Listening to her tone, Ming Zhen knew that he had caught her weak point. County master, don't be nervous, as long as you are obedient, Pandeo will never leak this matter. How can I trust you? Don't worry, county lord, leaking this matter will not do Pandeo any good as long as the county lord cooperates. Pandeo will not only help you keep it secret, but Pandeo can also help you get the merit and luck you want. Han Yao was moved, but unwilling to give in. Although Taoist master Ming Zhen has a good reputation, he is old enough to be her grandfather. She has been in love with the second prince for many years. How could she be willing to commit herself to such an old Taoist priest who looks like a beast? Han Yao wants more than just the status of the second prince's concubine. The second prince and concubine are more popular with the emperor than the queen and the prince. Although the second prince is not the prince, there is still a possibility of ascending to the throne. She not only wants to be the second prince's concubine, but also the most noble woman in the world. Han Yao was unwilling to commit herself to Taoist master Ming Zhen, but now that he had caught him, if she did not obey him, let alone her position as queen, she might not even be able to keep her current status. Ming Zhen has met countless people, and her unwillingness can be seen at a glance. He took out a porcelain white bottle from his sleeve pocket, poured out 2 pills, one gray and one black, and handed them over. Don't worry, county master. Pandeo always keeps his word. This medicine can cure your injuries. You can take it now, then you will know that Pandeo did not deceive you. Seeing Han Yao's hesitation, Taoist priest Ming Zhen took her hand, put the pill on her palm, poured a cup of tea from the teapot on the side and handed it to her. The handle is in his hand. Han Yao has to obey even if he doesn't want to. I could only feel calm, stuffed the medicine into my mouth, took a sip of tea and swallowed it. As soon as the medicine entered her abdomen, she immediately felt a sense of coolness, which relieved the pain in her heart a lot. Looking at her expression, Ming Zhen knew that the medicine had taken effect. What, Pandeo didn't lie to you? Han Yao pursed her lips. Although she didn't speak, the look on her face softened. Since Pandeo promised you, he will do it, so the county master can rest assured. Seeing that the Taoist priest really didn't lie to her, Han Yao was moved, that merit and luck. County Lord, don't worry, wait a little longer, wait until your injuries have subsided, and it won't be too late for me to take action again. Han Yao was about to nod, but before she could say anything, Taoist Master Mingzhen suddenly leaned toward her and held her in his arms. At the same time, he lowered his head and moved toward her red lips. Han Yao subconsciously wanted to push the other person away, but a fire suddenly surged in her belly. Dense longing surged from his body to his mind. He originally wanted to push Taoist priest Mingzhen's hands away, but suddenly changed direction, and the pair of catkins wrapped around his neck. Hong lips rushed forward impatiently. Seeing her actions, Taoist priest Mingzhen felt extremely proud. As long as someone takes his medicine, no one can escape from his grasp. Han Yao's sanity has long since disappeared as the drug took effect. When Han Yao finally woke up, the figure of the second prince receded in her mind, revealing an old face with wrinkles. Han Yao's eyes darkened when she realized that her innocence had been taken away from her. In an instant, a wave of nausea rushed to my forehead, and I almost vomited on the spot. This is a great humiliation for her. Han Yao's anger rushed into her mind. What medicine did you give me just now? Taoist priest Mingzhen glanced at her and said with a smile, healing medicine, isn't the wound on the county master's body much better? Pandeo didn't lie to you. He did not lie to her. Han Yao could feel that the pain in her body had indeed improved a lot. But she also felt the changes in her body. Han Yao shouted angrily with a white face, besides the medicine for wounds, what else did you give me? Taoist Master Mingzhen ignored her anger and said, it's just a little fun medicine. You and that Xiaoshan Bo have already played in Yu Hong Yuan. Why is the county master still pretending in front of Pandeo? Han Yao's eyes darkened. She didn't expect that Taoist Master Mingzhen knew everything about her. Enduring the humiliation, Han Yao said angrily, this county master was framed by others, but I am still innocent. Taoist priest Mingzhen smiled, knowing that she was not lying. He originally thought that she had already lost her virginity to the lustful Xiaoshan Bo, but he did not expect that he would take advantage of her. This was a big surprise to him. Don't be upset, county master, Pandeo will not treat you badly. Pandeo will help you get the merit and luck you want. Han Yao has already lost her mind as the medicine has taken effect. Taoist priest Mingzhen had a proud smile on his face, so what if the emperor personally appointed the county master? He was not allowed to control him at will. After Ling Chu cast a spell to cut off his luck, he fell to the ground with a pale face. After waiting for a while, he called the two maids in. Seeing that her face was as white as transparent and her forehead was covered with beads of sweat, the two maids endured their worries and hurriedly stepped forward to help her up. Xiangju, go and get the pills for me. Xiaoji, go and boil some medicine for me and bring it over quickly. Ling Chu endured the dizziness and ordered the two maids, then lay down on the bed to rest. Although I was prepared this time, I also lost a lot of merit and luck. The only consolation is that the person who did it will not be able to escape her backlash. After taking the health pills, it took a while, and Xiaoji also prepared the medicine. Xiangju stepped forward to help her up and prepare to give her medicine. Ling Chu shook his head, took the medicine bowl, and drank it in one breath. He endured the bitterness in his mouth and took the teacup to rinse his mouth. But suddenly there was a sharp pain in my heart. Ling Chu opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, then his body fell limply. Xiaoji and Lu Xiangju were so frightened by this incident that their expressions changed greatly. They both rushed towards her. Girl. Thanks to Gu Qingmai, Gus Han Shuiying. 16071174925886, I am Zioki, 202209140102452008, Yan, Jia 03. Jia 03, Hangzhou above and other book friends supported with monthly votes. Thanks Wolf 79220221001123443449. Walasali, white clouds in the sky, strong wind and lightning. At this moment, I laugh with you, Pen Yongfang. 201905291640416672, smile, now, Eden of the East, UN1, meteor shower. AC, Sankai. DB, silent blessing. Dark starry night, evening breeze carat, free walking Taurus, 854 458, goat song and the story of the eyes, Panax Noto ginseng. DB, silent blessing, dark starry night, evening breeze carat, free walking Taurus. 854 458, the goat song and the story of the eyes. 2018032215045487. Why do we grow old, all living beings, Chen, white clouds in the sky L, Hwa, CHLWCH. The wind of the blue planet, China Fuzi, prose. BA. Silver Star, 200908811, think about it? Bye bye. It is supported by the recommendation votes of Gia03, Daoyo, EB and other book friends. Thanks to the book friends Xiaoxiang and Hengxiu for their support. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 297. Ling Chu spurted out a mouthful of blood and passed out on the bed. The two maids were so frightened that their faces changed. They rushed forward and shouted several times, but she didn't respond at all. You guard the girl, I will ask the guards to call the doctor, Xiaoji said hurriedly to Lu Xiangju with a white face, turned around and ran out. To avoid suspicion, the guards live in the front yard. Xiaoji ran over in one breath and hurriedly found Yang Yun, the chief of guard. Brother Yang, the girl vomited blood and fainted. Go and call the doctor quickly. Yang Yun's expression changed and he didn't bother to ask further questions. He turned around and shouted, Zhao Jian. Zhao Huwei was on the side. He heard Xiaoji's words just now, and left in a flash, I'll go ask the doctor. Yang Yun then turned to Xiaoji and asked, what's going on? Why did the girl faint suddenly? Xiaoji's face was full of worry, I don't know what happened. The girl just drank the health medicine and suddenly squirted a mouthful of blood and passed out. Yang Yun frowned and first ordered other guards to patrol around the house, and then rushed to Ling Chu's yard with the other two guards. It's just that there are no other elders in Ling Chu's house. In order to avoid suspicion, Yang Yun couldn't go into the dormitory to take a look. He could only take two other guards to guard outside the yard, waiting for the doctor to come. Soon, Zhao Jian came back on horseback with a doctor. The doctor was almost half dead when he was jolted by the horse. It can be seen that the faces of several guards were frighteningly serious and they did not dare to complain. After taking a few breaths, he immediately stepped forward to check his pulse. But the doctor's expression quickly changed. I'm sorry that I can't do anything. The doctor shook his head, picked up the medicine box and left without even asking for the consultation fee. Yang Huwei's heart sank. He first ordered Zhao Wei to invite the imperial doctor, and then called two other guards to invite all the famous doctors in Kyoto. However, just like last time, neither the imperial physician nor the senior officials were able to do anything. Yang Yun frowned and turned to the imperial doctors and doctors, my lords, what is Miss Ling's disease? Why is it so serious all of a sudden? The imperial doctors were also helpless. To be honest, we haven't diagnosed it yet. Miss Ling's illness is as weird as Princess Dingyuan's illness. She is neither injured nor poisoned. We tried every possible method, but we couldn't revive him. Is there no way at all? The imperial doctors shook their heads. If there was a way, they would have taken action long ago. After the imperial doctor left, Xiaoji endured the sadness and went to ask Yang to protect him. Brother Yang, Can you ask Mr. Ning to come over and revive my girl? Yang Yun looked at Xiaoji helplessly. The imperial doctor couldn't do anything. How could Lord Ning save the girl? Xiaoji pursed her lips. She didn't want to say anything at first, but now she couldn't care less. The girl was unconscious last time, and it was Lord Ning who revived her. Yang Yun sighed. This girl must not be anxious and confused. Seeing that he didn't believe it, Xiaoji became anxious and said, Brother Yang, what I said is true. Last time the girl was unconscious, the imperial doctor asked her to prepare for the funeral, but after Master Ning came over, the girl woke up. As far as I know, Mr. Ning does not understand medical skills. Xiaoji also knew that Ning Chui didn't know medical skills, and she didn't know how Ning Chui rescued Ling Chu last time. But now even the imperial doctor couldn't do anything, so she had to give it a try, just in case Ning Chui could do something. Forget it, you don't believe it, I'll go and ask Master Ning myself. Seeing Xiaoji turn around and leave, Yang Yun could only call her to stop. Hey, come back. The master is out of Beijing on errands. I will send him a message. Yang Yun originally didn't believe Xiaoji's words, but now he had no good solution. He could only write a letter to Ning Chui and let the carrier pigeon send it out. Ling Chu didn't know about these things. After she passed out, the system suddenly stopped repairing. The energy originally used for repair was exchanged for a point of merit, which was enough to protect her life. Although Ling Chu was not dead, his soul was very weak and even separated from his body. Ling Chu's merits and luck were taken away again, and Ling Chu was lifeless. The person behind the scenes was able to succeed again, only because she was not prepared enough. Ling Chu knew that there was nothing wrong with the counter-attack talisman he drew with blood, and the person who cast the spell would not escape death. But her merit and luck were robbed again, and it seemed that there was more than one person behind it. Ling Chu is not afraid of death, but before she dies, she has to find out the person behind it and avenge her. Looking at the body lying on the bed, Ling Chu raised his hand to cast a spell, turned around and prepared to float away. Just when he turned around, he accidentally saw a faint wisp of grey smoke coming from behind the gauze curtain on the bed. Ling Chu frowned and stepped forward to take a look. There was a piece of talisman paper stuffed in the gap behind the bed. No wonder the person behind her was able to break through the amulet on her body so easily. It turned out that someone had tampered with her in her dormitory. This talisman paper appeared out of thin air. As soon as Ling Chu's mind turned around, he knew that it must have been placed by Dong. Everyone in this house belongs to her, and no one will harm her. As soon as Dong came, something happened to her. If it wasn't her hand, who else could? Ling Chu put the talisman into the system, turned around and left his house. If Ling Chu had only suspected that Dong was not her biological mother before, this time, the doubts in her heart were gone. Ling Chu left the house. She did not go back to Ling Mansion to find Dong, but went to Dingyuan Prince's mansion. Princess Dingyuan and her had accidents one after another. This is by no means a coincidence. Han Yao's life experience has not yet been revealed, so Princess Dingyuan cannot die. Dingyuan Prince's mansion. Princess Dingyuan stood next to her body, full of regret. She had never had any serious health problems, so she didn't know why she died so suddenly. It was a pity that several children died before they got married, but she didn't expect to see Ling Chu enter her dormitory suddenly. Princess Dingyuan looked surprised. Chu, why are you here? As soon as she finished speaking, she saw that Ling Chu was a soul like her. She realized something was wrong and couldn't help but was shocked. Chu, why are you? Princess Dingyuan subconsciously wanted to ask her why she died, but when the words came to her lips, the pain welling up in her heart made her swallow them back. Ling Chu didn't expect that Princess Dingyuan's soul had left her body and he had no time to answer her words. Hands were pressed together on the eyes, and he quickly discovered the talisman behind the bed. The handwriting on the talisman paper and the one in her dormitory looked like they were written by the same person. Princess Dingyuan was surprised when she saw her action. Why is there such a thing in my bedroom? Princess, does she know who came to your bedroom before the accident? Princess Dingyuan was still thinking about the talisman, and subconsciously realized, there are only the maid and Yao Yao. As expected. Princess, does she know why something suddenly happened to her? Princess Dingyuan thought for a moment, then her expression changed. What Chuchu meant, is it because of this talisman? But, how is this possible? Why does Yao Yao want to harm me? Because, you may not be her biological mother. Princess Dingyuan's expression changed. What did you say? The previous chapter was blocked and you have to wait until it is unblocked before you can read it. Farewell, everyone, I'll see you again during the day. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 298. Ling Chu looked at Princess Dingyuan and said again, you heard me right. I suspect that Han Yao is not your and the prince's biological daughter. Ling Chu ignored Princess Dingyuan's shock and told what Dong had done in one breath. Princess should know that as soon as I was born, my mother was sent to Xianqing Temple for foster care by Mrs. Dong. I have been in Xianqing Temple for so many years, and everyone in the Ling family has ignored me. I have been raised by my master since I was a child. Raised. It wasn't until the haircut this year that Mr. Dong sent someone to take me back to Beijing. Princess, do you know that on the way back to Beijing, I encountered a landslide, was thrown out of the carriage, and hit my head. He finally escaped death, but was assassinated by an assassin. If I hadn't happened to meet the commander of the Jinyue, my life would have been lost on the way back to Beijing. After I returned to my house, I found out that Mrs. Dong had engaged me, and that the Prince Zhao Qiagong not only had an affair with his cousin, but was also pregnant with a child. The Prince Zhao Qiagong was even a man of both sexes. I wanted to break off the engagement with the Duke of Zhao, but Mrs. Dong blocked me in every possible way. Seeing that I had made up my mind and insisted on breaking off the engagement, she agreed, but promised me to Zhao Jingming as a concubine. Then he continued, the princess thinks that a normal mother would treat her biological daughter like this. Princess Dingyuan's eyes widened in shock. Ling Chu did not wait for her answer and took out a piece of talisman paper from the system. The reason why my soul is out of body like the princess is because Dong came to me while I was out house, secretly hid this talisman in my bedroom. After I returned home, the person behind my back used this talisman to break the amulet on my body. Now all my merits and luck have been taken away, and my soul has left my body. If I cannot get my merit and luck back in time, my life will not be saved. Ling Chu unfolded the two talisman papers and handed them to Princess Dingyuan for her to see. Even if Princess Dingyuan didn't understand the runes on it, she could tell at a glance that the handwriting on it was written by the same person. Princess Dingyuan's heart kept sinking. She did not doubt Ling Chu's words. She remembered that before she fell into coma, she mentioned the birthmark to the maid. In fact, she had already become suspicious at that time, and she thought about asking someone to take her dowry mother back to her home, just to find out what happened in Kongsugwan back then. Could it be that Han Yao heard what she said to the maid at that time and was worried that she would find out her life experience, so she secretly used the talisman to make her unconscious? Princess Dingyuan felt cold in her heart. Even if Han Yao was not her biological daughter, she and the prince had raised her for so many years. She was so cruel to attack her. Princess Dingyuan's eyes were complicated, but she couldn't help but look at Ling Chu with excitement. Chu Chu, are you my daughter? Ling Chu looked calm and said, Princess, to be honest, these are just my suspicions and I haven't had time to verify them yet. As for what the truth is, the princess can go and verify it herself. Before there was evidence, Ling Chu originally did not plan to tell Princess Dingyuan about this matter, so as not to alert the enemy. But she didn't know how long her soul could last. If she dies before she has time to find out, it will be too easy for Han Yao. 15 years have passed since then. It is not easy to find out what happened back then. Her current state may not wait for the day when the truth will be revealed. Ling Chu chose to tell the princess about this, firstly to make her wary of Han Yao so as not to be harmed by her again. Secondly, Princess Ding Yuan experienced what happened that year personally, and no one knows it better than her. Let her check it, it will definitely be faster than her. The Prince of Ding Yuan has raised Han Yao for so many years. After finding out the truth, Ling Chu didn't know how Prince Ding Yuan and his wife would treat Han Yao. But even if they still choose to keep Han Yao with them in the end, Princess Ding Yuan has already become suspicious of Han Yao, and her attitude towards her will change to some extent in the future. Once the seeds of doubt were planted, she believed they would one day take root and sprout. If she died before she had time to find out, when Princess Ding Yuan found out the truth and knew that her biological daughter was killed by the Dong mother and daughter, she would definitely not treat Han Yao as her own. This can be regarded as her revenge on Han Yao. Of course, Ling Chu hoped that he could take revenge with his own hands. Princess, the soul cannot leave the body for a long time, I will send you back first. Princess Ding Yuan came to her senses and subconsciously grabbed her arm. What about you, Shuchu? How do you go back after your soul leaves your body? As soon as the words came out, she remembered that Ling Chu had just said that all her merits and luck had been taken away from her, and he looked at her eagerly. Shuchu, is it because you have lost your merits and luck that your soul can't go back? Take a look. If I have any, I'll give you all I have. Princess Ding Yuan doesn't understand occult arts and is anxious, but doesn't know what to do. You want to cast a spell, you know how to do it, right? No matter what the truth was back then, only by living well can you have a chance to find out. At Chuchu, you must live well. You are still so young and cannot just lose your life in vain. Hurry up and cast a spell to transfer what's on me. Seeing that Princess Ding Yuan looked anxious and wanted to give her all his merits and luck immediately, Ling Chu's face showed the first smile since the accident. Although Ling Chu was a little moved, she did not accept it. Princess, I can't take away your merits and luck. This is detrimental to your morality. Even if I take it, I won't live long. Moreover, it will also be harmful to your body. Princess Ding Yuan didn't care if she was in danger. I'm so old, it's okay to live less. But you are still so young, you cannot lose your life like this. Think about it carefully. Has your master ever taught you a spell that can transfer your merits and luck without causing any harm? Don't worry, Princess, nothing will happen to me for the time being. If Princess wants to help me, then find out the truth as soon as possible. Princess Ding Yuan felt extremely uncomfortable when she heard her calling her princess again and again. She wanted Ling Chu to call her mother, but she couldn't. Princess Ding Yuan felt guilty. If Ling Chu was really her daughter, she would have unshirkable responsibility for what happened back then. It was because she failed to protect her that she suffered so much. Princess Ding Yuan endured her sadness and nodded. Don't worry, Shuchu, no matter what the truth was back then, I will find out and give you an explanation. Ling Chu smiled and said, then I'll wait for news about the princess. It's just that the princess must remember that this matter must be investigated by a trustworthy person, so as not to alert the enemy. Don't worry, Shuchu, I know what to do. Then I will send the princess back. Ling Chu could see that Princess Ding Yuan looked reluctant to leave, but she still raised her hand to cast a spell and sent her soul back to her body. He added another spell to stabilize her soul and calm her nerves, and then turned around and left her dormitory. Ling Chu searched around the Ding Yuan palace but could not find Han Yao. He only found a few letters to and from Dong in her dormitory. These letters were all evidence. Ling Chu received them all in the system and then left the Ding Yuan palace. Ling Chu glanced at her hands and cast a few spells. Her soul became even fainter. She must find Han Yao as soon as possible to get back her good fortune and good fortune. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 299. Wei Feng licked his chapped lips, looking at the figure on the horse in front of him who seemed to never tire. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Yin Shat, do you think, sir, he doesn't even want his life anymore? We followed him all the way back in a hurry. We haven't slept much for almost 3 days and 2 nights. 3 of the horses were killed. It's more than 800 miles away. Still in a hurry. Along the way, the adults hardly even said a word except for rushing, and the aura on their bodies was even more shockingly cold. If I hadn't known that it was the Emperor who asked you to take care of Miss Ling secretly, I would have suspected that you were risking your life for the sake of your sweetheart. Yin Sha didn't say anything. He glanced at Ning Chui in front of him, who was concentrating on his way. In fact, he felt that his master had been acting strange recently. But if you ask him what the strange thing is, he can't tell. Although the Emperor did ask them to secretly take care of Miss Ling, his current attitude makes him a little confused. Ning Chui has always been cold and indifferent to everyone. Even when he gets along with Ning Qiagong and his wife, there is a sense of alienation, and he has always been polite to outsiders. He is even more respectful of the ladies in Kyoto. No matter how beautiful a girl is, he would never even take a glance at her. No wonder the Emperor was always worried that he would never marry a wife in his life. Since the rumor spread that you are the Emperor's illegitimate son, the women in the harem have made endless troubles for you, and the princes have made numerous overt and covert killing moves. In fact, what they didn't know was that Ning Chui didn't want to compete with them at all. If the Emperor hadn't stopped him, he would have gone to the border to kill the enemy rather than stay in the capital. Ning Chui's journey has not been easy. His temperament, which has been taciturn since he was a child, has become even more cold and distant. No one can get into his heart. Privately, Yin Sha hoped that Miss Ling could melt Ning Chui's cold heart. But he didn't expect that Miss Ling would suddenly become critically ill. Yin Sha was a little conflicted for a moment. He hoped that Ling Chu could make Ning Chui's heart melt, but he was also afraid that if she lost her life like this. Sir, I'm afraid it will become even colder than before. Yin Sha sighed, hoping that Ning Chui could rush back in time to see Miss Ling for the last time. Wei Feng Balabala finished speaking, but found that Yin Sha didn't respond at all. Hey, Yin Sha. Yin Sha didn't say anything, just glanced at him with disgust. After following the master for so many years, although his martial arts have improved somewhat, his noisy temperament has not changed at all, and has become even more talkative. Ever since the Lord received the message from Fei Ji and took them to the capital, they have been rushing along the way. In order to reduce unnecessary waste of time, they almost always eat and drink on horseback. Although they all brought water bags, not a drop of water was left in them. He was so thirsty that his throat was filled with smoke. This Wei Feng's lips were obviously chapped, so he didn't know how to save some saliva. Along the way, he could be heard talking about it from time to time. Yin Sha was too lazy to pay attention to the talkative Li. When he saw that Ning Chui had opened a long distance away from them in a short while, he hurriedly clamped his legs between the horse's belly and immersed himself in chasing forward. Ah, ba ba ba. Wei Feng saw that he had not responded and saw the disgust in his eyes. Just when he was about to say a few words, Yin Sha suddenly increased his speed, and he was forced to eat a mouthful of dust raised by the horse's hooves. After spitting out the dust, I wanted to settle the score with Yin Sha, but I didn't expect to see a group of masked men in black suddenly rush out of the woods beside the road from a distance, wielding long swords and slashing at Ning Chui and Yin Sha. Wei Feng's expression changed, and he didn't care to be angry anymore. He slapped his flattery the butt, spurred his horse and rushed towards the group of men in black. Ning Chui and Yin Sha had already started fighting each other. Wei Feng caught up with them, drew out his long sword and wiped the neck of a man in black. This group of black-clothed men ranges from 100 to 70 or 80, and none of them are weak in martial arts. At first, Ning Chui and the others had the upper hand, but the three of them had driven such a long journey in a row, barely resting, and were already exhausted. No matter how powerful they are in martial arts, they will inevitably struggle. It didn't take long for him to fall behind. Gradually, everything became colorful. Even though he was injured, Ning Chui still waved the sword in his hand without changing his expression. Wei Feng was angry because they were about to enter the capital, but they encountered such a group of roadblocks on the way. I don't know which prince's handiwork it was, but it's really haunting. The wounds on his body hurt, but Wei Feng didn't care. Seeing that Ning Chui was surrounded, he gritted his teeth and slashed towards him. I don't know if they can return to Beijing alive this time. Facing the siege of dozens of people, Ning Chui's face was as cold as ice, and the sword in his hand slashed at the man in black without mercy. The little face as white as snow flashed in his mind, lying unconscious on the bed, the sword in his hand moving 3 points faster. Yin Sha kept slashing in his hands, but he glanced at Ning Chui worriedly. Seeing that he had been hit by several swords, he didn't even move his brows and didn't care about the injuries at all. Are you risking your life? Yin Sha was anxious and wanted to step forward to help, but he was surrounded by more than a dozen people and could not get away for a while. Ling Chu saw a man in black from a distance who seemed to besieging someone, but she didn't want to pay attention to it. After leaving Ding Yuan Prince's mansion, she did some math and vaguely detected Han Yao's direction. She followed the guidance of the hexagram and came all the way. She just wanted to find Han Yao before her soul dispersed, regain her own merit and luck, and then take revenge with her own hands. She didn't want to care about other people's affairs at all. Ling Chu's soul was unstable. Although those people couldn't see her, she didn't want to be contaminated by their murderous aura. Just as he was about to go far away, he accidentally glanced at the man who was under siege. Ling Chu's eyes widened suddenly. Master Ning. She didn't expect that she would meet Ning Chui even after her soul was out of body. Looking to the side, he saw that the other two people being besieged were Wei Feng and Yin Sha. Ling Chu was in a soul state now, so Ning Chui naturally didn't hear her words. Still harvesting the lives of the men in black with an expressionless expression. If it was someone else, Ling Chu didn't want to pay attention to it. Master Ning has helped her so much. It would be fine if she didn't see it. She can't turn a blind eye now. However, Ling Chu didn't take action immediately. She planned to see if Ning Chui and the other three could defeat the men in black. Unexpectedly, as we got closer, we saw that they were at a disadvantage and had suffered many injuries. If those wounds were allowed to continue to bleed, even if they could kill all the men in black, the three of them would probably die. Ling Chu did not hesitate anymore and waved his hand to summon the invisible shovel and small hammer. In order to save energy, Ling Chu used the fastest speed. Soon those men in black were either knocked unconscious or had their hands and feet broken, losing their fighting ability. Seeing the men in black falling to the ground and howling miserably, Wei Feng and Yin Sha looked surprised, and inexplicably felt that the scene was familiar. End of chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 300. Chapter 300, Making a Fuss at Kongsugwan. Why do they think those men in black were hit by Miss Ling's big shovel and small hammer? Ning Chui's eyes were stunned for a moment, and she subconsciously turned around to look for him. But nothing was seen. He frowned involuntarily. She must be lying on the bed unconsciously now, how could she be here? Looked around again, but found no one else. Ling Chu stood aside, guessing that he was looking for someone to help secretly. Although her soul has faded a little, she owes Ning Chui so much, so she should treat it as repaying his debt this time. Thinking of the word critical illness on Fei Ji's biography, Ning Chui could only throw aside the doubts in his heart and hurriedly rode away. Ling Chu frowned, it was something urgent, and he left in a hurry without even treating his injuries. Wei Feng and Yin Sha quickly took out the medicine, hurriedly treated the wounds, and then rode off to chase Ning Chui. Ling Chu saw that they had all left. After taking back the shovel and small hammer, he also left. Ling Chu did not kill those men in black. Although she helped Ning Chui, she had no enmity with these men in black. Her soul is already unstable now. If she carries so many murder debts again, she is afraid that her soul will return to the underworld before she can find Han Yao. Following the guidance of the hexagram, Ling Chu kept going forward, and soon he found that he had arrived at Kongsu Temple. Just as I was about to go up the stone steps, I saw an old woman next to me suddenly raised her hand and slapped the young woman next to me, then raised her hand and pinched her arm hard. He kept cursing. "You bitch, I didn't agree with you marrying my son in the first place, but you pestered him every day. You charmed my son so much that he didn't even listen to my mother's words, and insisted on making trouble to marry you. You vixen, you used tricks to get into our Zhao family. You haven't even laid an egg for several years. I didn't expect that you would dare to steal people and ruin the reputation of our Zhao family." The young woman allowed her mother-in-law to beat and pinch her without resisting. She just defended with a dull expression, "Mom, I didn't steal anyone, I didn't do anything to offend Li General." The old woman slapped her again with her backhand, "Ms. Wang, you still dare to quibble? I heard that the you gave birth to is just like the Qingyang Taoist priest from Kongsugwan. You still don't admit it?" Ling Chu, who was on the side, didn't care about other people's affairs at first, but when he heard the old woman's words, he couldn't help but stop. Princess Dingyuan and Mrs. Dong gave birth to her and Han Yao in Kongsugwan. As soon as she was born, she was ordered to be punished by the Taoist priest Ming Zhen. According to the guidance of the hexagrams, Han Yao was in Kongsugwan. Now it seems that the talisman used to harm her and Princess Dingyuan must have come from Kongsugwan. Han Yao doesn't understand occult arts, and the person who steals her merits and fortune behind her back is probably a Taoist from Kongsugwan. Ling Chu was thinking about how to get revenge on Kongsugwan, when what the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law said caught her attention. The Wang family was pinched several times by her mother-in-law, and she lowered her head and said, I didn't." "You bitch, you still dare to say no until now. If you hadn't stolen someone, how could the you gave birth to look like Taoist priest Qingyang? Did you hook up with me while you were here to offer incense? My son has poured out his heart and soul to you, but you are still not satisfied. Why are you so mean? You even stole from Taoist priests. Do you think you can't move your legs when you see a man? You vixen, you are so in need of a man, why don't you sell it in a brothel? My family, Lejin, married you, which is really bad luck for 8 lifetimes. I tell you, if you can't find any more roots, I will sell you by your feet, and I will sell you to the lowest of the lowly brothels. If my son has any shortcomings, the you gave birth to will never survive. I will definitely put him in a urine bucket and drown him." The old woman dragged her daughter-in-law up the steps, beating and scolding her while the young girls and daughters-in-law who came to offer incense pointed at her. The Wang family tried to argue a few words at first, but the more she argued, the harder her mother-in-law beat her. Wang simply shut up and let her mother-in-law beat and scold her. The old woman went up the steps to the door of Kongsu Temple and let go of Mrs. Wang. Angrily, he stepped forward and grabbed a little Taoist boy. "Where is Taoist Master Qingyang from your Taoist temple? Let him get out." The little Taoist boy was only a few years old, and he was frightened and overwhelmed by her angry look. There was a grey-robed Taoist in the temple who heard the commotion and came out. The old woman pushed the Taoist boy away and shouted angrily at the Taoist priest in gray, "Get out of Qingyang, that tough-nosed Taoist. I want to see what kind of sanctimonious liar he is." The Taoist priest in gray frowned and said to the old woman, "Taoist master Qingyang has ascended to immortality, so you are not allowed to insult him at will. The Taoist priests in our temple have always behaved according to the rules and have never deceived anyone. Please be careful what you say." The old woman was startled. "Qingyang is already dead? Impossible, I know that all the Taoist techniques in your Kongsu temple are liars. Taoist master Qingyang has indeed ascended to immortality. If you don't believe it, you can come into our temple to see it." Seeing the serious expression on the face of the Taoist priest in gray, the old woman frowned and said, "Is Niobe really dead? It's an advantage for him." After cursing, the old woman thought of her son. "What about my son? My son came to see that beast in Qingyang 3 days ago and he hasn't returned home yet. Have you caught him and released my son quickly?" "Who is your son?" "My son's surname is Zhaolajin. He came to Kongsu temple 3 days ago and you disappeared. If my son has any shortcomings, I will fight you to the death." "Zhaolajin? As far as Pandeo knows, there is no such person in our temple." "Nonsense, I know all the Taoist priests in Kongsu temple are sanctimonious liars." After hearing what the Taoist priests said, the old woman was so angry that she cursed, "You Taoist priests pretend to be magic all day long and seduce pilgrims, but in fact you are secretly doing the things that male prostitutes and female thieves do. Everyone in the world says that they come to your Taoist temple to pray for children, but bah, it's obviously you Taoist priests who put those pilgrims who were praying for children to sleep, and they were all pregnant with your children." The Taoist priest in gray saw many people pointing in front of the door and hurriedly called other Taoist priests with a dark face to drive the old woman away. But the old woman was not afraid at all, thinking that her son was missing and her daughter-in-law stole a child and gave birth to a bastard, and was laughed at by the people in the village. She made up her mind to make a scene and let everyone know what the Taoist priests of Kongsugwan were. Several women standing next to Ling Chu were watching and talking in low voices. I was surprised that those women who had been unable to conceive for many years came to Kongsugwan to ask for a child, and then got pregnant when they returned. It turned out that they slept with those Taoist priests. There was a widow in my natal village who gave birth to a son who looked just like Taoist priest Qingyang. When her husband found out, he was furious to death. That Hu Kuiwa stole someone with that Taoist priest Wu, and was beaten to death by her mother-in-law and husband. Hush, have you noticed that the eyebrows and eyes of Duke Zhao are very similar to that of Taoist Qingyang? P.S. The Taoist temples, characters, and storylines in the article are all fictitious. Thanks to Black Sunflower, 2017031819143085, Penyongfang, 1702241824352558, 1702241824352558 and other book friends for their monthly support. Thank you Wanfan 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 641,417, 2018032215045487, Armstrong Fathead Fish, Forget Me Not, 202210041243346889. Ixixi, 2018032215045487, Mimi Yang 98, Wanfan Wanfan Chen Rong, 2023-071-6797. BC, Free Walking Taurus, Lanianjiang, Eden of the East, Blue Ice and Rain Love. Ed. Care, Penyongfang, UN 1, 854-729, China Fuse, Silent Blessings, Why We Grow Old, Kingsha Makeup, This Moment, Laugh With You, Sankai. DB, By Taxi Can't Wake Up, Prose. BA, All Living Beings, The Song of the Goat and the Story of the Eyes, Ixixi, A. Purple Leaves, CHLWCH, 1402121840214228, Just Keep It Simple, 200908811, Black Sunflower, Chen, Colorful Life, Xian Zhuanzwen, Pick Up the Pen to See the Future. Waiting for recommendation votes from Book Friends. Thanks to Xiaoxiang and Hengxiu for supporting Book Friends. End of this chapter.